Mr. Lake Lure coming at you live from Lake Lure Coffee, downtown Lake Lure, in the arcade building. As you all know, there was a large evacuation order that went out last night, pre-evacuation order, for 5 or 6 different communities, and by now most of you have received that notice, and you know probably if you're in the midst of one of those pre-evacuations. Pre-evacuation means you need to start to do some planning, getting ready to evacuate in case you get that order, because it comes down usually pretty quickly. And one thing that we've tried to do throughout this process is get the message out in mass through social media to people who don't live here, who might have homes here, to people that maybe they've got a second home here and they're gone for the season, and people that are here that have brought their animals with them or that live here permanently that have the animals with them. We have tried to get the message out about planning ahead when you have animals. Rachel Atherton is with us. She works with the Humane Society in all kinds of different capacities, and she has probably been the #1 proponent of jumping on social media and blasting that message out there and telling people what to do with their animals, how to plan, how to plan for evacuation. If you've got animals, what to do if you've got exotic pets or cats or just different things that you need to think about, because once you get that evacuation order, it's going to come down relatively quickly. So what I wanted to do was bring her in and just kind of let her talk a little bit about some of that stuff that's on the forefront of your mind. Every day she sends me like talking points, make sure to tell them this, make sure to get this message out there. So I don't know if you want to do this like in just like a free form, you want to talk a little bit?
Or you could ask me questions.
Okay.
It might be easier.
I'll ask you some questions. So you're a homeowner and you're in your home and maybe you've got a couple outdoor cats.
Right.
And you get this pre-evacuation order. Now when you get that, you might have a half a day, you might have 2 days before the actual evacuation order comes down.
Right.
Tell me your thoughts on what you think people need to do ahead of time, how they should gauge their thinking. I mean, we talked the last couple of days about planning for kids and planning for where you're going to stay and planning for boxing up all your valuables and your personal financial documents. But we're trying to get the message out about how to plan to do that with your pets. And so I guess in maybe a broad stroke start, and then we can kind of drill it down like your thought process on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you only have one animal, it's kind of relatively simple because you can handle one animal a lot easier than a lot of animals. If you have a lot of outdoor cats or like feral cats are cats that aren't necessarily your pets, but they're close to your house and you feed them and make sure they're taken care of. You'll want to make sure that they get away too. But anyway, to start with your one pet, make sure you have a carrier. Make sure you have a place that will let you have the pet with you. If you don't, Rutherford County Humane Society has a lot of volunteers that have graciously opened their doors to allow some of these evacuated pets to stay for a limited period of time, like Rutherford Pet Supply.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking in a lot of the cats that we have helped and a few dogs. If you have a lot of cats outside, you want to make sure before the evacuation order goes down that you get them into an enclosed area like a screened-in porch or like a room, because once the firemen come in to get you evacuated, those cats are going to be terrified and they're going to just go all over the place. So you want to plan for the event that if you do have to evacuate, you can get those cats in a carrier in an enclosed area.
Right.
The best thing is if you have a place to put them temporarily and do it now, but that's sometimes not practical because it's not fun for cats to be living in a crate and that sort of thing. But it's kind of like up to the person to, if they need help, they need to call us at the Humane Society. And we will come out, we will help them catch their pet if they need that, help them get a carrier. If they don't have a carrier, we'll provide a carrier.
No, you don't need
And we'll get them to a safe place, so they have a safe place for their pet temporarily.
And I've heard one thing that they do is like, if you're in need like that Humane Society, and correct me if I'm wrong, they will come. Maybe you're elderly, or maybe you got a lot going on, and for one reason or another you're concerned about how you're going to get your pet from point A to point B, or maybe you're going to be one of the last ones out. Will they come and help you transport, and
Yes.
maybe put them somewhere temporarily until you can catch up with them?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Also, big thank you to Lake Lure Police Department, because they let us get into areas that like homeowners aren't allowed back into to get some of the pets that were left behind. So you want to get your pet taken care of before an actual evacuation order, because we can't always necessarily be allowed back in.
Right. Yeah, and that's one thing that I learned this morning. I was talking to some people down in close to the resort at Valley Market, which is outside of the evacuation area, and they had taken some things from their home. They packed up their car, but they didn't have enough room in their car to get it all in one trip. So they wanted to go back and just get a few more things that, just one more trip back in. And once they went out, they were not allowed back in. And so that's like brutally important to think about, because if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to load up this first carload, I'm going to take it to Valley Market or somewhere, switch cars with my wife, take my other car back in, get my rest of my stuff, get my pets. It doesn't work that way, guys. They're not going to let you back in. So and that's fantastic about the police department, because if they're going to let them in to do that, there's going to be those circumstances where people are going to forget, or they're going to go out. Like this guy that I talked to this morning, he went out with no forethought, telling the trooper that he was going to go back in.
Yeah.
And he went back to that gate to go back in, and the guy's like, no. And he's like, I just saw you 5 minutes ago. I just went and switched cars with my wife. And he said, sorry, you're not going back in. Now, what if you had a pet that was in there? Then you've got to make an arrangement to have them escort you to your house to get your pet. It's a whole thing. So, but that's an awesome point, that they will, they let these guys go into areas where they might not necessarily let anybody else go to help facilitate this process.
Last Sunday, we had to have an escort all day because it was that dangerous. But there was 10 cats we were trying to get out of the area, and we did get them. It took us, I think, 3 days. And a gentleman from Brother Wolf, Eric, he came in and helped get them too. But that was touch and go, because the fire was right there. But then
I saw a big Brother Wolf, do they have like a rescue kind of van? I saw this big, beautiful truck.
They probably do.
Yeah, they were rolling in with all the emergency vehicles, and then Brother Wolf comes in with this big shiny mini RV looking thing, and it's like, wow, that was kind of impressive with the logo on the side and everything.
Yeah, we're a small, tiny little organization.
Yeah, but still, there's all these people that are working together. Now you have volunteers that, like if somebody calls you, or we give your numbers out later, then you could reach out to other. There's like a network of volunteers that kind of all work together.
And fosters, and then the veterinarians. We got a lot of great vets that are helping us too. So.
Wolfie just came on and said winds today will be between 20 and 30 miles per hour with gusts reaching 50 miles per hour. Fires could just be the fire line with these conditions.
So and we'll give a shout out to Wolfie in a minute, and I hope he stays on through the end of this. One thing that I really thought about when I was sitting here this morning, looking at how windy it is I know if the cats that I've had in the past or my animals. I mean, my animals, when it gets windy like this, or if they sense a storm is coming, I've got some dogs that don't care, and I've got other dogs that go hide in the closet, literally, and just shiver. I mean, medium-sized dogs that you wouldn't think they have. Like my dog is relatively, not aggressive, but confident. But if it's windy like this or there's a storm, she's in the back bedroom in the corner of that closet, hunkered down. And that's something that I think is important for people to remember, is if you've got outside animals, they're going to, tell me a little bit about what you told me about how they'll seek shelter in areas that might not necessarily be safe. It's safe in the animal's mind, but...
Right, like outdoor cats, excuse me, whether they're feral or not, or pet cats, they will, if they feel threatened, they will go into hiding. And they can actually be in the grass 50 feet from you, but they're hiding where they think is safe. They will go into houses, abandoned houses, your house, under the house, get up in the, underneath the parts of the house and curl up in a ball. I know of 2 cats that hid in the house, curled up in a ball, even though the firemen were in there trying to save them. The 2 cats were curled up in a ball, hugging each other, and the firemen couldn't find them.
Yeah.
So it's just, cats are very sensitive creatures, so if you act now and prepare now, then you're going to traumatize your pet a lot less, because I know some people have super sensitive cats that'll just claw you to death, or just, there's payback later when they get stressed out. But right now, when it's pre-evacuation, is the time to, plan and get your cat maybe to a friend's house or to the Humane Society foster places that that are temporarily taking in these pets. So your animal will have less stress than if all the fire personnel show up, pound on your door, tell you have to leave in 20 minutes.
Right.
And you maybe can't catch your cat.
Yeah.
Because cats are going to go when strangers come around. So.
And this is going to be even more important now because since for 2 weeks,
Right.
every day you message me in the morning and you message me at night and you message me during the day and you tell people plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead, right?
Right.
And so we've had a couple of mandatory evacuation areas where like it was just Long Boys Camp Road,
Right.
or it was just Chimney Rock, and we do the whole plan ahead message, plan ahead, and I've been trying to deliver that message as part of every broadcast, no matter what the topic was, to plan ahead. Now that's going to really come home. That message is really going to come home because now what's happened? Now we've got 5 or 6 neighborhoods that are in pre-evacuation where you can't go back in once you leave. This message that she's been talking about for 2 weeks, every single day, plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead. It's coming home now because once you're out, you can't go back in. And so here's something to think about. If you are in that next layer, right, that next layer of neighborhoods that is not yet evacuated,
Right.
like maybe you're in Riverbend, or maybe you are that next neighborhood over that's not part of the pre-evacuation.
Right.
Plan ahead now.
Right.
This thing has spread, and I'm not the official purveyor of information, you can look it up online, but this thing has spread over the last 2 or 3 days about 1,000 acres a day.
It's going up to that.
Yeah, and they don't necessarily know what direction. I mean, you look, I was talking to somebody this morning he's like a weather guy, and he was talking about how the winds are coming at directions that they typically don't come. So if you're in that next layer of neighborhoods, make arrangements now for your pets.
Some people are still thinking that it's not going to get to them, but wind does weird things. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's easier for you to just run out the door with whatever bag you have packed and not worry about your pet and get out
Right.
and have your pet already in a safe place or at least the carrier.
Yeah. Now, what about that weird pet? It's something that we've been talking about, and I don't necessarily. I've been delivering the message about pre-planning for the weird pet, but are there places that will take your iguana or your ferret or your whatever you've got?
I'm sure. I'm really sure we can find somebody. I know, like the Rutherford animal or pet supply. They're gonna kill me for messing that up. But anyway, they do birds and stuff there. I would imagine that they would know of, or if they couldn't take them in, they would. And then I don't know if you know the comedian Pam Stone. She's got a whole network of horse-loving friends that will help horses, and maybe some of those, like if you have a donkey or something,
Right.
to get to a safe place.
Yeah, and it sounds funny, but I mean, those types of things, I know, typically what we have in this area is we have more rain-related problems, more flooding and those types of things. And I know some of the horse facilities locally here, just in Lake Lower and Rutherford, are in some of the low-lying areas. And I remember from some of these mass rains where they were in a low-lying area and that area was filling up with water, and they're just trailering these horses out in a mass panic. And so you've got to think about large animals too.
Yeah, Linda Sticer, is it, that is with the Columbus Landrum Group? She said that PIEC had opened up for horses and
That's awesome.
over there as well.
Yeah.
I think most people that have horses have already made plans or gotten them out. It's just, I think I know there was a case of the cats being left behind at the resort up here when the people first left, and then they were panicked because they couldn't get back in when the fire came back round, and we were able to get in. But I mean, that's just by the grace of the the EMS personnel and the fire, the police letting us get in. But if it's too dangerous, they're not going to let us in. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So sorry.
And tell me about we touched on it a little bit. No, it's something you just said, and I lost my train of thought about animals that. I guess we touched on it. It's so important that we get to it because animals that, even if it's in your home,
Right.
and your animal is scared. I have some personal experience where I took some pictures of a home, and I scared this woman's cat. And from the very beginning of going over to her house, she said, "Don't let my cat out. Don't let my cat out. Don't let my cat out." And I said, "Don't worry. I'm going to take pictures. I'm not going to let your cat out." I didn't see the cat the whole time I was there. I got home from that job, and she started calling me because her cat was gone. The owner of the cat couldn't find her own cat in her house. And do you have any kind of stories like that of animals in the house that were the only, I mean, because they'll go to different places that they might not normally go in
Well,
a situation where they're scared or.
I don't know the specifics, but there was somebody, and I know his name, but I'm not going to say it. I think his cat was in the wall. There's like a hole in the wall, up at Rumbling Ball.
That's crazy, yeah.
And it would go in that hole when it felt threatened, and so he'd been going back every day trying to get the cat because it was his daughter's cat and she was at college, and the cat didn't like him or just wouldn't come out for him.
Right.
And so that was one case where they were, I guess he was being allowed in to get the cat, but he couldn't get the cat because it was in the wall. I would knock the wall down. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes back to planning. I mean, and as basic as this sounds, like one of the things that you talked about earlier was put that cat maybe in a screen porch, or maybe in a room that you at least have access to where, because if say you've got a couple hours that you've got to get out, and you're packing your car and you're getting your kids squared away, and you think, not a problem, the cat's in the house.
Right.
And you've got to leave and the cops are knocking at your door, and you can't find your own cat in your own house because it's scared and it's in a closet somewhere at the very top shelf where it wouldn't normally go. So it's that next level of preparing. Yeah, you've got your cat maybe in the house now. Make sure you've got it somewhere in the home where it's accessible if you have to leave in a hurry, and where you can, as funny as it sounds, where you can catch your own animal, because if they're scared, because they're going to sense your energy, right? They're going to sense that.
Well, I mean, animals, up until like this fire situation, your life might have been totally normal at your house for years and years and years, and your cat or your dog is totally used to everything. But when you have emergency personnel show up at your door and tell you you have to leave in 20 minutes or contact next of kin, you are going to be, in a mad rush, and your cat's going to be freaking out because you're going to have shining lights and big guys in their, fireman suits and whatever, and it's going to a cat, it's a scary monster, I guess.
And what people have to remember is this could happen at noon, or it could happen at midnight.
In the middle of the night.
And you might be looking for your animal. You put him in the garage maybe thinking, okay, I know when I leave, he's in the garage, I'll be able to find him. Now it's midnight. And the guys are walking around with flashlights telling you got to go, and you're in the garage looking for this cat that's under the car. I mean, so you've got to plan.
Double check too. Like, don't put your animal in a carrier. Set it by the car and drive off. Because people have done that too.
Really? Yeah.
Because you think you've got it all and you're all panicked, and when you're stressed and you're panicked, you're not thinking clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of us have ever driven off with our coffee sitting on top of the car.
Yeah, but in a situation like that, I mean, nerves do funny things to people, and especially people that have been here for a long time. We've got a lot of people here that are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. They've never been through an experience like this.
Well, the elderly especially, they're way more sensitive. They worry a lot. They're going to be frightened, and you're going to have that to deal with, and then they're going to have a pet. So if you know somebody who's elderly that needs help with a pet, right now is a great time before there's an evacuation order to have us come help their pet, because elderly are totally like different bird, because they're just freaking out.
And that's a good idea, because there's a lot of elderly, if we use that generalization, that might not be big computer people. They might not be big social media people.
Most of them aren't.
They might not, other than what they see on the evening news, the only news they're going to get about what's going on is their friends talking to them, or maybe what they see on a little snippet on the news. They're not thinking to prepare ahead. So if you're a friend of somebody like that, you've got a friend down the road and they're elderly and they've got a couple pets, maybe you should take it upon yourself to be proactive and call those people, or go knock on their door and say, hey, have you thought about this? I'll help you.
Well, the big thing is, if you see a need or something's not being done, to step up to the plate and take, like you did with this, letting everybody know what's going on. And I just stepped up and I just started like posting everywhere, please get your pets prepared to leave. And if you have neighbors and you don't know that somebody's checking on them and their pets, double check, because you don't want somebody.
Yeah.
To an elderly person, their animal might be their world. They probably had it long time, because most, so whenever you see a need, try to fill it.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah. And one thing that I get afraid of is especially with some of the elderly or people that maybe they don't think, I guess it could happen to anybody, is, okay, you've made all these plans and all these arrangements, and you're going to go stay at this motel, and you've got it all reserved, and you're going to stay at your friend's house. Can you take that animal with you?
Right.
I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't think about. They get on the phone, they make a reservation, okay, I'm good, I got a place to go. And they show up, and the place is like, you can't bring your cat in here. You walk into the lobby with your little cat carrier, and they're like, no, that's not going to work, right? It's all this kind of stuff that we're talking about thinking ahead, planning ahead.
Yet two people you specifically have to shout out to.
Okay. Wolfie Wolferstein, whatever his name is, right?
No. Old school. Barb's on and Coop's on.
Oh, Barbara Garfinkel and Linda Cooper. My two rock stars from California when we were in the personnel business, who were with me and my mother for 20 years. I don't know. I mean,
Well,
Linda was with us for
They
more
might
than
not
that,
want
probably.
you telling that.
Well, they're still young girls, but.
But Linda was saying, being a California girl, that this is even good information for them out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm very used to fires and used to earthquakes, but it's a different kind of fire. And we were talking to some of the firefighters about that, about how the fire here is much different because of the terrain and because you've got compact neighborhoods and then nothing, and then a compact neighborhood and then nothing. And so it makes for a very different thought process, whether you're talking about animals, whether you're talking about fire. It's a different area, even in California where it's just all flat and you don't have to necessarily worry about all that kind of stuff. Do you want to give a couple phone numbers out? Website addresses, anything that comes to mind, where at least before we forget, we can get it out there.
Okay, Rutherford County Humane Society, their main number, which takes a message, is 828-286-0222, and their website is rutherfordcountyhumanesociety.org. That has all kinds of links on that page to like PayPal for donations.
That's awesome. I didn't think about that.
We also have a Facebook page. If you just type in Rutherford County Humane Society, it should come up in the search bar. You can get a hold of me by calling 828-980-4000, and that's the only number I have at the top of my head in terms of, but I can get you in touch with other people that will help get your pets out. If you text me, it's even better. So again, 828-980-4000. Texting's better because sometimes in these areas the phone service is really bad.
That's a
and a
good point.
text message will come through sometimes and I may not even know I have a message on my phone because of the way the service is here. So if you need immediate help, it would probably do best to call or text me because, like I said, Humane Society is quick to get back to their messages, but it is a message. You leave a message with them. And I don't know, anything else like that?
Yeah, I mean, one thing to think about is, and I've experienced this because I never, we were talking before we came on this morning, I never thought 3 weeks ago that I'd be doing this. Never in a million years. If you told me we'd be sitting down doing this today, I'd be like, no, that's not going to happen. One thing I've learned through this process is that now that we're doing this, and now that you're doing it and I'm doing it, and other people that are out there that are using their strength, if their strength is social media or if their strength is getting messages out, what happens is then people turn to you for information. They turn to you for questions. They turn to you for everything from, is a restaurant down the road open, to is it windy up there today, right?
Right.
You're going to get those kind of messages. I get them. One thing for people to remember is if you call the Humane Society or if you call some of these numbers that we've been giving out or that we give out today and they don't get back to you in 30 minutes or 45 minutes, either call back and leave another message, but just be patient because those of us that are out there trying to do this in mass, the bigger our message is going out, the more stuff we have coming in, which is great because the more stuff we have coming in. We
have a really good team.
Share.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
We have a really good team. Like when we're say we got a couple people out there trying to rescue cats, then we've got somebody working the Facebook page. If we have a problem or we need a phone number, like I wanted to get a hold of some radio stations and I couldn't do it here. The Beth, she would look it up for me. She's the one that does the Facebook page. But we're all connected when we're out there, and when we're out there trying to get the pets to a safe location, we just aren't paying attention to our phones or anything.
Right.
So we have that backup support. It's amazing what we do at Humane Society. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just a little tiny thing, but we got huge hearts, and we work with other rescue groups, and we're connected, and we're just trying to make a little difference in just a few
absolutely.
animals' lives. And you save those lives, you help the people that own them. I mean, it's just.
I think you need to know through this that you have made a huge difference. You have made a huge difference
I just
because
did what I
I mean, you're out there every day. It's not just like some people that do it for a couple of days and then they stop doing it, or they do it for a couple of daes and then they're off to something else. You've been on this message every single day for 2 weeks, and I think that's just awesome. I mean, and how you've done this, and then people that are working around you kind of support that in the background. One thing I want to do before we forget is, and I don't know how long we're going to go here, but one thing we need to all do, at the bottom left of your screen, you see a little button that says share. Hit that button. We talk about this on every broadcast, and it's been tremendously effective. At the bottom of your screen, you see a button that says share. Hit that share button. For those of you that aren't big social media people, what that does is that shares this live broadcast on your Facebook timeline, and then after the broadcast is over, that stays there so that we get the message out. So if I've got 5,000 friends, and some of those people, they might only have 10 friends, or they might have 500 friends. If they put it on their timeline and it gets shared, and those people put it on their timeline and it gets shared, the message exponentially gets bigger. And the reason that we want to do that, and it's so important in this area, is because most of our homeowners in this area in Lake Lure, a lot of them don't live here. So whether we're talking about pets or whether we're talking about people that just come up for the weekend and don't really think about what they're going to do, maybe it's their second home and they're up here just for the weekend and they see it on social media. Gee, this is my second home. I never thought about what would happen if I had to evacuate. So there's all these different types of people out there that are in different types of situations, and getting this message out to them is really effective. And the most effective way that we've been able to do it, and that you can help us do it, is to share this broadcast. If you're going to share it after we get off, tag your friends, anybody that you know that has pets. If you've got people that... Now, speaking of that, if somebody wants to volunteer,
Yes.
how do they do that?
They just get a hold of one of those two numbers,
Okay.
or probably on the Facebook page, you could ask to volunteer, because somebody always will respond.
So they're actively looking for volunteers?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We need fosters more than we need anything.
Fosters, okay.
Fosters, yeah, because we're always getting animals in that may not necessarily have a home, and we're doing really well at getting animals adopted out. So especially with dogs and puppies and kittens, if you can help foster those for usually, I don't know, less than a month, that's something we really need, our fosters, people who can volunteer for that. It doesn't just have to be about the fire.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and that's another message that Bobby and I have talked about, is that a lot of people forget that the message that we're delivering in these recent broadcasts is all about Lake Lure, or it's
Right.
all about Chimney Rock and these surrounding neighborhoods. But what people forget is that if you go back home to whatever neighborhood you come from, maybe you're from Ohio or New Jersey or Florida or South Carolina, you have needs in your community too. It's not just about helping here. There's 175 wildfires across the United States that are active right now. And it doesn't even have to be an emergency situation. You might have a shelter in your town that needs help, that needs volunteers, that needs donations, that needs supplies.
Right.
Speaking of supplies,
Can I jump in real
Yeah.
quick? Wolfie's good news.
okay.
Wolfie said the fire in the town of Columbus is 100% contained, and
Yay.
all evacuees from Columbus can go home.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
We also had that the Days Inn in Columbus accepts pets.
Wolfie's amazing, isn't he?
Well,
That's
that
a
came
wealth of information.
from Winnie Clark.
Okay.
And then Christine Evans told us that they just had 2 cats check in at Foothills Animal Clinic that were evacuated.
Yeah.
awesome.
See, it's all these people coming together. This is amazing.
I think a lot of people don't know that the help was out there, and that's why I'm really trying to get it out there, because most people just kind of take it on themselves and
Right.
don't think that the Humane Society will step up and do something,
Yeah.
or any other animal group. There's plenty of them out there.
This is going to be of an extreme importance to you.
Oh, my hair's not right?
No.
Oh.
Someone's wife is saying that they will take some puppies.
No, my. Yeah, we'll just... Now, notice how she
Some-
limits it. She doesn't want to take in iguanas, snakes, and lizards and parrots. She wants to
Don't-
bring in
she
puppies.
said, don't tell Greg.
One thing that we need are, with spring, we're going into winter, but in spring, we really have a big need for bottle baby kitten, people to help get bottle kittens raised.
Oh, wow.
What about with the spay and neuter?
Oh, the spay and neuter. If we help you with your pet evacuated, or we take it in, we will have your pet spayed or neutered if you want it to be. We're not gonna force you to.
Right.
But it's up to you. If you wanna we will cover the cost of the.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So if you get your cats in, like you have a bunch of feral cats and you want them fixed and plus out of the line of fire, it's double whammy there.
Yeah.
We'll help you out.
Yeah, and I mean, and you know what? It's one of those things you never think of. I had a cat that lived outside. It kind of adopted me. We didn't adopt it, you know. And in the winter, we put a house out there and a little heated blanket, and he loved it, you know. And all the other cats were coming around. I had never thought of that. You know, it wasn't fixed.
Yeah.
But now, if I would have had to catch that cat, I mean, it would have been great to be like, you know what? I can have this cat fixed at the same time that it goes in. So that's awesome.
We do that whether there's a fire or not. We will come out and trap your wild cats and get them fixed because, you know, one cat has a litter of kittens, and then those kittens have kittens, and it's like this huge pyramid.
Right.
And we get about 500 cats annually spayed or neutered.
And so they help with the cost, or they cover the cost? So say if it's not during this situation, but it's just any month of the year, will they help with the cost of that, or?
A lot of times we can get them, we have grants that come in, we can get them, it just depends on your need, but a lot of times we can do it without a cost to use. Sometimes it'll be a low cost, like $25 or less.
Right.
It just depends on the situation and how much money we have in the grant.
Yeah.
And if people donate, like if you want to donate and specifically state on your donation that you want it to go to help spay or neuter animals, well, you know, that money goes to that. So you can specify how you want your money used.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I never knew that.
Like if you make a PayPal payment, you say in the memo bar how you want it. You know, like you want it for the cats that are in the fire, or you want it to be used for cat food, that kind of thing.
Okay. Speaking of cat food, as even over just the short period of time over the last couple of weeks, I've seen, you know, everybody wants to know, of course, how can I volunteer, how can I donate, whether it's with firefighters or whether it's with animals, and I've seen needs change. Like I know in the beginning when people were wanting to bring food for firefighters, it was all about water and Gatorade and health bars and that kind of thing, and they're like, no, we've got mountains of that stuff, bring us this.
Yeah.
Has that been that way with you too? I mean, it seemed like in the beginning it was kind of like a broad message for supplies, and then over the last couple of weeks it seems like it's kind of narrowed down to we kind of really have the concentration we need. We always need stuff, but right now we need...
The main things we need are cat food and cat litter for obvious reasons, because those get used up daily. And you can get your cat food at a discount at the Rutherford Pet Supply, because they have a cost for 10%, I believe it is, to help with Humane.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then, but we need lots of food and we need lots of litter, because the litter they just go through like crazy. Those are the two main: towels, blankets, newspapers.
Okay.
Because cats are kind of messy when they're pinned up.
Right.
Yeah, so those are the biggest.
And the cool thing about Rutherford Pet Supply, my wife went down there to donate. She owns a salon, so what she did was she took all of her, you know, she's always cycling in new towels because they get used. So she took all of her old towels and all of her old bedding, because they also do facials and massages. So they had bedding, they had towels. She gathered up all that stuff, took it down to Rutherford Pet Supply, made a purchase from the store to support the store,
Right.
and it's kind of down there. Maybe they'll give you a discount like you were talking about, and you can leave the stuff there, right? So it's like go there, buy it there, leave it there, and they'll take care of it and distribute it and help get it out there where it's needed, right?
Right, and it's not just. I mean, it's a kind of. I think it's an inconvenience, this whole thing, having to have all those cats in there. But it's a happy convenience that they're willing to do, and so it's great to help support them too, to help cover what they're doing for all these animals.
Yeah.
These animals really don't have a place to go unless some people step up and make it the space.
Yeah, and what people don't realize is how much time and effort goes into planning.
Yes.
Like just because you're a pet store doesn't mean that it's easy for you to plan to house animals or to plan to find. I mean, there's like when Bobby and I do these broadcasts, not to pump ourselves
I'm
up,
getting
but
away from it.
Okay.
Albemarle,
Yes, ma'am.
shouts out. We're on live.
give them some love.
All right. Hey.
Give them some love. I hate it when I say that, but you know what? They're going to give you like hard thumbs up. Watch, it's going to come across the
Yeah.
screen like in
Yeah.
10 seconds. You're
We
going to
need
get
some
all this
likes,
love coming through.
Follower, yeah, all kinds of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're trying to get the word out for you guys and to give you guys some love.
We're giving you love every day.
Yeah, no, everybody up here has just been absolutely.
Everybody
wonderful.
loves firemen, though.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
She actually stopped by the other day. Some of her students had saved up their money. They had bought us some toboggans and stuff like that, and they are coming in handy today.
I bet.
It's cold.
Yeah, that wind picked up and it's just cutting right through
Yeah.
everything.
Don't they have socks coming too?
Yeah, that'll be Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
They got a massive thing of Go ahead and promote it. What do they got coming? I mean, not that you're going to come and pick up socks, but I mean, there's a big delivery of that coming for the personnel, right?
The town knew a contact over at Under Armour.
Right.
And they are sending boxes and boxes on Monday or Tuesday of next week. They're getting them here as fast as they can, and they'll be the wicking socks from Under Armour. So
Yay.
That'll be
Cool
nice.
is that?
Yeah.
yeah, that was all Valerie and Fran.
You know what? It's funny that you asked that.
Nothing
Because,
bad will happen.
from the very beginning, we talked
That's
to
true.
their
We hope
office
y'all
over
get
there
to
about
go
what they need, and laundry was one of the
Listen,
biggest things.
Yeah,
Problems with how to
920
coordinate.
920 men.
Yeah.
More than they
And the thing is, the
We're
federal
good.
government has
We
regulations
were up with
on
Concord,
how
Concord guys
laundry
last
has
night,
to
they
be
were all
done.
good.
Every load has to be separate.
Yeah.
You can't put them in clothes.
Wow.
If they're uniforms, there's certain ways that they have to be done because of the patches, and they don't want that stuff to cut, all of a sudden go missing. So it's a whole thing. Yeah, it's a big
We're
organization.
talking about laundry.
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
I just, we were coming back over so they could continue their conversation.
So we were talking about, where'd we leave off?
Donations.
Okay. So you can go on those, like, is there a link like on their Facebook page for the PayPal, do you think, or?
Oh, on their,
For
yes,
donations
yes,
and- okay.
yes. And on their, especially on the on the, their webpage, our webpage, Rutherford County Humane Society.org, the PayPal button's right up at the top. And we are a small, poor organization, so everything goes to the animals. There's no, like, we don't pay anyone anything. And most of our money that we get goes to veterinary costs, because, like, we take care of animal, like, if I see a cat run over in the road, I stop and I take it. And of course, that's gonna cost, x-rays and all that.
Right.
There's always, with cats, they have upper respiratory problems and all kinds of things going on, and so vet bills are huge.
Yeah,
But
and we were
it's-
talking about that before we came on this little broadcast about animals that you've taken in that just had a variety of problems. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's the reason that they get taken in, and then what people don't think of is how do those animals get treated?
It's heartbreaking sometimes, but it's worth every single one that I've lost. I loved them to the moment they passed, and it's all been worth it. I wouldn't trade. I hate the way some of the things went down, but and I speak for like most of us. I know we would rather be there with a pet when it passes and at least try to save it
Right.
than to have just left it to the elements or whatever.
Yeah.
But
So the community, whether it's been with these guys or whether it's been with the animal organizations, I've been here 11 years. I've never seen, I mean, it's always been a very active community, and when things came along, like the school, supporting the school and getting that off the ground, but I've never seen everybody come together, and I get inundated every single day with messages. How can I help? How can I volunteer? How can I donate? And so specifically with you guys, maybe they're not in the position to work with their time, but maybe they're in a position to work with their money. And,
I have one lady that as soon as she found out about that cat that was lost for a few days, the white cat, she wanted to, when he was found, she wanted to have a care package. She got a care package for the owner's kids so they wouldn't be bored while school was out. And she got us gas cards, because it costs money to keep coming back up and down from Lake Lure. She got us snacks, water, and things to help catch the cats, food for the traps. So she couldn't do any fostering, but she,
could help in other ways. Yeah, like what you're doing. I mean, you not only do you do this ongoing, but you said, you know what? I know I can get out there and deliver this message, so that's what I'm going to do. I mean, everybody can help in their own way.
well, I wasn't seeing it happen, so I just did it, and I kept doing it, and it snowballed, and you build connections through the years. People have bigger Facebook presences. Like one lady has over 5,000. So I just posted in those areas and like the news groups and stuff.
Right. On donations of supplies and things, are there any other locations that are predetermined? Like I know for the supplies for the firefighters, every Tom, Dick, and Harry was like, drop it off and I'll take care of it. And then the town, over time, they tried to make it more organized because they were having a hard time getting stuff from point A to point B because it was being dropped off haphazardly everywhere. People saying, oh, drop it off at my business. Are there places where people can, other than the Humane Society and other than Rutherford Pet Supply, do you know of other like drop-off locations where somebody could, like, say they're going to Sam's Club this weekend to do their family shopping, where they want to buy something and bring it somewhere?
The main other place, okay, Rutherford Humane Society does not have a building.
Okay.
So we don't have a building to drop off, but we do have an office within the Rutherford Pet Supply.
Okay.
So we have an office there, and so that's why that's a great place to drop it off.
Right.
Autumn Lanes which is the bowling alley in Rutherford or Forest City area, is Deb Anderson. She's like one of our biggest, like the biggest heart, the biggest, like she's out, she will crawl under houses, she will do anything to save an
Right.
animal. Anyway, she will take donations there too, and then we'll pick them up and take them to where they need to be. But that's the biggest location drop off besides Rutherford Pet Supply is Autumn Lanes, the bowling alley.
Do you have any place up here?
No, but we could use one if
Okay.
somebody wants to volunteer.
So
for a
do
spot.
we want to do that? I mean, people could come here, or they could go next door. I could ask Amy if that's, we'll ask Amy in a minute, but I know, we've got Coldwell Banker Real Estate next door. There's a big sign out front that also says Mr. Lake Lure Real Estate, for those of you that know of me as Mr. Lake Lure. We will gladly take supplies. We will gladly take, I will take money donations, and if people don't feel comfortable doing that, they can do it with Rhonda Cook next door, who's the bookkeeper accountant. And they can, if they feel comfortable leaving their money with a bookkeeper accountant to do that. Whatever it takes, if you want to bring your supplies to my office, we started off doing that in the beginning. Amy at Lake Lure Coffee, Amy and Chris were one of the very first people in this place right here that said, drop your supplies off and we'll make sure, or drop your donations off, we'll make sure that it gets where it needs to go. So if we need to do that now with this, that's
That
fantastic,
would be
because
awesome.
I had no idea that wasn't really organized. I mean, there's a couple of them, but if there's no place
Not
up
in this area,
here,
not in this area, no.
because there's a lot of
I don't
people up
believe
here
so.
that message me every day and say, okay, I've seen your message, I've seen you say plan ahead, what do we do? How do we help? Where do we donate?
We need like too, when you're going through spring cleaning or whatever, we need your old towels, your old blankets. I
Okay.
mean, those are, especially with winter coming on, the animals really, need those extra
Yeah.
supplies.
And we've got plenty of room to house that stuff until they can make periodic pickups. So we've got room for that.
We can fix some kind of box or something, make some kind of drop off so when the office is closed,
Yeah.
that they can still.
I can make a box and make it look pretty and you can put it on the outside like a big, one of those boxes they put in Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that for your outside.
That would be awesome. Let me ask him real quick. Is Amy over there? Chris? Question for you. They don't have any place up here for drop off.
Okay.
For just people that say, okay, I'm gonna do my spring cleaning, I've got all my old blankets, and I'm gonna go to Sam's Club and buy a couple extra bags of cat food. And we went ahead and volunteered to do it next door. Can they do that here as well?
Sure, absolutely.
Because there's a lot of times when Bobby and I, we're workaholics, we're here 6 days a week, usually till 7, 8 o'clock at night, and Mariah, and sometimes they'll be closed, or they might be at their other business, Scoop, which is the ice cream place just down the road, so one might be open, one might be closed. So you can do it at Lake Lure Coffee downtown, Lake Lure in the arcade building, or at Mr. Lake Lure Real Estate right next door. Between one of the two, during regular business hours or a little bit later, there's usually gonna be somebody here. And then Rachel's gonna make a collection box that we're gonna put outside. So if it's after hours and you wanna drop stuff, you'll be able to see. And until that gets here, if you wanna drop it, put it on our doorstep at night, that's fine too. Whatever it takes to get the stuff here, we've got plenty of room to store it until they can come pick it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And again, if you want to leave money, you can leave money. You'd probably better do that online and go through a PayPal channel or something. But we've had people come down here that just opened their wallets and said, "I want to do something. What do I do?" So we'll do that too. And again, if they can. Go ahead. Yeah.
Cards.
Yeah. That's right.
Gift cards there would be awesome too. But make sure you leave your name and address if you'd like to get a receipt, because sometimes
Okay.
that really helps with your state taxes. Maybe not so much the federal, but it can. If you have, when you make donations, we can send you a receipt.
Okay. And can they do that with? Is it just monetary donations, or can they
No,
do
I
that
thi-
with their other
I
donations?
think so too. Yeah.
Okay,
But
so-
just in case, leave us your name and your address so we can send you a receipt, or an email address. We
Yeah.
can send you a receipt that way.
And that's important to a lot of people up here, because we've got a lot of folks that are in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s that are on a fixed income.
Right.
And that's a big thing for them. I mean, if they're going to go out and they're going to spend a couple $100 in supplies, they want to get that write-off. And I don't care if you tape your name and address to the or your name and your email address, if you don't want your information out there, to the bag of food you drop off.
Right.
We'll get back to you and make sure that you get that if it's important to you.
I did get a thing that they have 5 more crates available at Foothills for
Okay, awesome.
evacuees.
How cool is this?
That's
It just,
awesome.
yeah, it just
Yeah.
comes in. Yeah.
Cindy said to give a shout out to Phil. I'm not sure what Phil or where Phil is with.
Okay.
And the chief of police that helped her get through
Mm.
and get over to the salon.
Yeah, same thing we've been talking about with Humane Society is, the state troopers have been really good about if you've got kind of a special need, if you're with the Humane Society, you need to get through to go to a certain residence. The rumbling bald side, we talked about it earlier, but a lot of folks jump on and off of these broadcasts. Rumbling bald side is locked down tight, guys. I have personally talked to people. I went over there this morning. I met with some people that were at the store over there who had gone out and said to the trooper, "Be right back." Went out, went to go back with with their car to go get some more stuff, and the trooper said, "Sorry." And he's like, "I just saw you 5 minutes ago," and he said, "Sorry."
That's awful.
So just it's be cognizant of the fact that if you go out, they're not going to let you back in. And we talked about it earlier, but I want to repeat it again. If you go out and you think to yourself, "I'm going to take some stuff out. My wife's got my other car down the road. We're going to take some stuff. We're going to put it in the pickup truck. We're going to bring our car back in, and then we're going to get our pets." Right? Because that's what people are going to do. They're going to think, "Okay, we're going to get everything first, not disturb the pet, not freak the pet out. Then we're going to go back and get the pet." Now, what if you can't get back in?
Right.
They might escort you back to your residence. If they've got the time and the manpower, they might, but there's no guarantee.
Right.
Now, if these guys show up, they'll let them through, and they'll either let them through or they'll try and make whatever arrangements they can to escort them back to your residence. So if you find yourself in that situation where they're not going to let you back in, you can call that Lake Lure Party Rock information line. I don't know what they're going to do to get you back in. What you're going to want to do is call these guys, because they've got the juice to at least go over there and say, "Hey, I need to go to this residence. Can you escort me? Is there somebody that could take me up there to go get this dog or this bird or whatever it is they've got?"
Most of the law enforcement are pet lovers too, and so they are usually willing if it's safe enough. I mean, it was dire last Sunday, but they still, with an escort, let us get animals out. But it's not always guaranteed that we can get them out, so it's better, whatever's the most important thing to you, and hopefully it's your pet, you get that out the first trip.
And what some people don't realize, that maybe you don't live here and you don't understand, is that if you've been evacuated from the resort, it could take you 10 minutes to get from the resort gate to your house. I mean, there are some areas of the resort that, you wind way back in there before you get to your house. And they don't always have the manpower, to escort you 10 minutes in, goof around at the house for 20 minutes trying to get the pets together, and then 10 minutes back out. They just don't have the manpower to spend an hour a shot for people that forgot to take their pets or didn't plan ahead, right? Didn't plan ahead.
That's the one that's driving me bats, because I have been trying to get that message out, and I think I've done a really good job. But but people are still just sitting on it because they don't think that they're going to have to leave. And I know the gentleman that had to leave, that I helped with the white cat, I think he was kind of in shock when it happened.
Absolutely.
Because, you could see their table was still set with paper plates, but it was set and the cups were knocked over. It was a rush, and he tried to get his cat in the carrier, and then the cat took off. It got away from him, he held onto it, and he could not get the cat found. And it was just, so it was like literally 4 days, I think. And that cat was lucky because he was white. And he was up there in the leaves, and that's a desolate area right there. With nobody, with all the houses evacuated, you got all the animals coming in looking for food. And a white cat probably looks good to a coyote or something.
And that's something, something else you would talk to us about during the week was wild animals.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit. Like, you had brought up to me that they're displaced just like homeowners are displaced, and they might find themselves in areas that they're not used to. So,
you're going to see more wildlife on the move, and most of it's operating on fear or instinct for safety, but fear is a big thing. And you're going to see animals that maybe aren't normally out during the day. You know how you hear that if an animal's out during the day, certain ones, it's dangerous. Well, right now they're just trying to get out of the path of the fire or the smoke or whatever. So the animals are operating on fear, and so they're not going to be acting normal necessarily. So you need to stay clear of them. You need to make sure your food's put up at night. And you need to make sure your pets are in a safe place during the day and night. But coyotes will get your pets during the day.
Right.
It's not a nighttime thing.
Right.
So.
And they will. And just for those of you, Bobby and I met with a client a couple weeks ago to list their home for sale, and they had a dog. What was it, like a little dachshund, that was attacked within barking distance, for lack of a better way to say it. They could hear their dog being attacked. That's how close it was to the house. In the middle of the day, in a home they've lived in for a while. Just on a normal day, it was nothing like this going on. He was outside doing some gardening. They just bought this house, and they were, and he had to turn around and sell it real fast. But they just bought it. They were doing some landscaping. The dog's running around outside, and within earshot, that dog had been attacked. So there are those animals in the resort. This was in Rumbling Ball Resort.
Yeah.
So there are these animals in the resort, and now those wild animals are going to be in a pack.
Well, you're gonna see more of them too.
Yeah.
Like just on a normal day, a couple of years ago, I had 3 coyotes come up on my deck, and went out there, and they weren't gonna move.
Right.
So, and I have cats, so that's why I keep them all locked down. But
Is this the beginning of hunting season?
It's Monday
Monday.
is gun season.
Yeah,
Opening
because
of deer
this
gun
morning
season.
when I was coming in, some of the normal gathering places where we see hunters, I saw tons of hunters. So I thought to myself, that must be the beginning of the season, which probably couldn't come at a worse time,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to be flushing out animals that would know where to hide or know where,
there's gonna be probably easier to get them.
Yeah, that's
for
what I'm
sure,
thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. 'Cause
But
they're-
like we saw animals. It was like a scene from Dreamcatcher, the movie. You know, where all the animals were on the move.
Right.
They were going down the riverbed.
Ugh.
Just trying to get away from the fire, and that was last week.
Yeah.
On a sidebar, let's address the roadblock and the residents, because Cindy said people are trying to just come in.
Okay.
You're fine.
That's the only.
Yeah, I got it.
You're good.
As most of you know, and some of you might not, there have been roadblocks on each side of a Chimney Rock Village. There's one on this side that is right before or right at the Lake Lure Inn. State troopers there, and there have been different levels of them admitting people and not admitting people. For a while, Boys Camp Road was totally locked down, and Chimney Rock, and there was fire issues down there, and they weren't letting anybody in. And then they started to do some levels of letting homeowners in with passes. We had the fire department come over to our office yesterday and told us that yesterday they were issuing passes in the Lake Lure Inn. Today, if you are a homeowner or a business owner, you can go directly to the trooper. Dry Bobby, do you?
No, I don't believe the troopers are there. I believe it's regular
Regular police, okay,
county and city.
okay. But that's where they go to get their pass, right?
It's in that area.
Okay. So you go down there, you get your pass if you are a business owner or a homeowner.
But
To
that
get
doesn't mean
access
they're
back
open
in.
for business.
Go ahead and just,
But that doesn't mean they're open for business.
Right.
That is just for them to be able to go in, check on their things, get in there.
right.
But it is not for third traffic.
Yeah. So what they're doing is they're like in Chimney Rock Village, for example, if you've got a shop there, there's a lot of shopkeepers that have been out of their shop now for a week or two that weren't able to get back in. And I personally know shop owners that are pillars in the community that could not get back in. It wasn't like they could just go to the trooper and say, hey, you know who I am, let me in. They weren't letting you in. So there's shop owners that have been concerned about their places, and so they'll let your shop owners back in, but you're not open for business, and that stretch through Chimney Rock is not open to through traffic. So if you, at least not yet, and if you're concerned about, we've had a lot of calls that have come in over the last 24 to 48 hours because people are concerned about how am I going to get to work? Because there's a lot of folks that use this route to get through to Hendersonville, Asheville. Now they have to go the long way around to get to work. So we're getting a lot of phone calls and messages saying, is it open yet? Because I need to know how early I need to leave to go to work. And people do work on the weekends. So we're still getting those calls saying, is the road open? It's not open yet to through traffic. It's certainly not open to tourists. You can come and we'll get back to the other roadblock in a minute. You can come downtown Lake Lure. And it's probably not the best place to come, just take pictures and look around. But one thing to remember is there are businesses down here still that would love to have your love. If it's, we've got the weekend here now. If you want to go out and have a cup of coffee and be cognizant of the emergency vehicles and be aware that they're out there, and if you're going to come up to this area to frequent these businesses that have been just devastated by even in the last couple of weeks, this is the high season for some of these businesses. The changing of the colors, this part of the year is kind of our last hurrah for tourists. There are businesses down here that make a good part of their money that helps them through the winter that would have traditionally made a big hunk of that money over this last month. And those businesses have been really hurt by what's happened. So come down here, show Lake Lure Coffee some love, come in. If you want to come and donate to firefighters and you want a place to come donate, you can come down here and I've seen Chris and Amy accept money from people and they said, no, we don't want to take cash, and the people would insist and they say, you know what, we'll take it and we'll buy we'll buy somebody something with it. You know, we'll feed somebody with it. We'll if it's a, you know, a displaced homeowner, if it's a firefighter or some kind of emergency person, you know, they've said, here, we'll take your money and we'll apply it towards, you know, towards that. So you can come down here, show Lake Lure Coffee some love. If you want to donate, they'll certainly get stuff out to people. Lestrada Restaurant, another place that's been hurt a little bit by this. Come down here. They're open for lunch. Dinner you should call first, because if they don't have enough people to stay open late for dinner, they're only staying open as late as they have customers. So call first if you want to come have dinner, but come frequent these businesses. Come in here and have a cup of coffee, go to Lestrada, sit up on their deck and kind of watch what's going on. It's kind of cool to watch emergency vehicles coming through, and frequent these businesses because they've been hurt by this. And Mariah, did you have another one?
Lake Lure Diner was open today.
Lake Lure Diner's open. That's amazing. They haven't been open for, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, a week at least. We were just in front of Lake Lure Diner. It was the day before yesterday, I think, doing a little broadcast. We're pointing out that they were closed. So come down here, frequent those businesses, show them your love, spend some money down here, and help them, you know, help them get back on their feet. So the roadblock on this side is at Lake Lure Inn. The roadblock on the other side is at Highway 9. If you're coming from the Hendersonville, Asheville way, and then they've got another one as you go into Chimney Rock Village. So if you're lucky enough to get through one, you're gonna get through the second one. I can tell you from personal experience, the lockdown on that Hendersonville, Asheville side coming off 9, they're really strict on that side because that's where a lot of the concentration has moved over to that area. So, you know, where you have that higher concentration of emergency personnel and more of that immediate danger, the lockdown is a lot worse. So, you know, we had gone through to take supplies over to the Batcave Fire Department, and coming back through, we kind of got the question again, where are you going? And it's like, we just came through to bring supplies. I mean, they're really, really strict. So, you know, just know that you can't go through. If you're a tourist, you can't come shop. If you're going to some of the businesses that are just outside of that roadblock area, like Lake Lure Salon, I don't know if there's another one on this side besides Lake Lure Salon.
And it's not really open for
Boys Camp
business, yeah.
Okay.
There was at the one, at the break.
Okay, so, you know, if you're coming to see somebody like Lake Lure Salon or some of those that are just on the edge of that lockdown area, maybe they're just inside the roadblock, call ahead, call those businesses, let them know that I'm coming for my appointment, or I want to come down and see you, so that those businesses can get word to the troopers. They'll work with you, but you can't just show up and say, oh, I'm supposed to, you know, get my hair cut. Or what my wife at Lake Lure Salon had experienced was that people were coming to the roadblock to get their hair done, and instead of just coming there and saying, I'm here for my 2 o'clock appointment to get my hair done at Lake Lure Salon, which is just 75 yards around the corner, they were giving a wacky excuse. I'm going in the command center. I'm going to go donate. I want to, you know, instead of just saying, because they didn't want to say, I'm going to get my hair done, because they're afraid they weren't going to get let through. So they're giving all these wacky stories about why they, you know, and then they would come over here and come in, and they would call the salon and go, I couldn't get through. And she's like, I just told them you were coming. Yeah. What did you tell them? I told them I was going to go to the command center. Well, no wonder they didn't let you through. So go up there, tell them the real reason you're coming, make arrangements with the establishment if you're coming ahead of time. They'll work with you. Did you want to hit anything else about that roadblock area that I didn't?
No, Wolf was on here again saying that high winds today, look out for fallen trees and branches and debris.
Mm-hmm.
Widowmakers.
And that's something that I had read online talking about, especially for now and for after. People don't think about it with all the charred trees and stuff. They're
Right.
going to be a lot more susceptible to the wind, to falling, to branches that we might not see
Right.
coming down.
Right.
To look up and be aware.
Yeah.
Hey, every bit helps. We appreciate that.
Anything that we have
I think we're good.
forgotten? We hit the exotic animal thing.
Thank you.
I think that's. Why don't we give out those phone numbers again? Maybe website address again, Facebook page again. Guys, hit that share button at the bottom left of your screen. We talk about it on every single broadcast, every single day when we do these. Hit the share button. We've been really, really successful at getting the word out. These broadcasts are getting anywhere between 10 and 80,000 views each. We've hit over a 250,000 views just in the time that we've been doing this over the last week or two. So the message is getting out to a lot of people about a lot of different topics, and it's all because of you. I'm one guy sitting behind a cell phone with one person. So there's 2 of us here, and I guarantee you this will hit 10, 15,000 views today because of you. And the only reason that happens is because it has to exponentially grow. So if you share and then your friends share when they get it and those friends share when they get it, that's how it spreads. That's how the word about evacuees and animals gets out. So yeah, show that win, Mama. It's crazy.
Try and do it without the Blair Witch.
I mean,
No,
it's
it slows
just
down now.
yeah, it's just crazy windy out there.
Other than that, it's a beautiful day.
Yeah. So go ahead and shout out those phone numbers while she's giving some views outside.
It's Rutherford County Humane Society. You leave a message at 828-286-0222, or you can get a hold of me directly through text would be the best way, or you can call 828-980-4000. And just remember that it's better to be prepared in the event of an emergency, because last minute could get your animal lost or worse. So please try to prepare now. 828-980-4000, 828-286-0222.
And website address?
RutherfordCountyHumaneSociety.org, and also on Facebook, Rutherford County Humane Society.
And Rutherford Pet Supply.
Yes.
Frequent their store, show them some love, buy a couple things while you're there, bring your extra, towels, blankets, food, donations down there. They'll take monetary donations, I think, right? Or put them on gift cards.
Yeah, I just make sure you put your name and address so you can get a receipt for it. And
Okay.
gift cards are awesome because we can get the food, and if you want to help with gas, that's great, because I know like the lady that does the rescue truck, it's her own money she's using for the getting out here to help the animals.
So that's kind of a question. If somebody is at, say they're at Ingalls, and they've had this broadcast of mine, they're cognizant of the fact that that's how they can help, can they buy a gift card just at a store like an Ingalls or a Walmart? Will you still use that to buy supplies?
Yes,
I mean,
it all goes to the animals.
Okay.
It's never not gonna.
I mean, I know that it wouldn't go to you guys personally, but I
No.
mean, you would still be, like if you were another volunteer, we're going to Walmart and somebody had dropped off Walmart gift cards. I mean, you're
Right.
still going to have that forethought to take that and go down and use it for
We can use
that
them on
cost.
cat food, litter, whatever
Okay.
we need.
Okay.
You can leave them at probably the bowling alley. You can mail them. There's an address on our webpage to mail donations to.
Okay.
So you don't have to do it in person necessarily. And you can't do PayPal, then you can mail a donation.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to help out. I mean, what people are
Thank you,
realizing,
guys.
hopefully.
Thank you, Lake
thank you
Lord.
guys for everything.
Hey man, y'all been an awesome host. It's an honor to come up here. Everybody up here is just so thankful.
Yeah,
We're happy to.
we're thankful to have you.
Got
Yeah.
a beautiful
Yeah.
community. So.
Well, we're thankful for you guys.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
really,
thanks so
truly
much.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cowboy coffee is awesome.
Get the cowboy. Is that what he got? Is that what it's called? Cowboy
Yes.
coffee?
He got cowboy coffee, and the other fireman got a latte, a warm latte.
Very nice. What do I get?
You get a frappuccino.
I get a frappuccino. Amazing. They're so good. I'm hooked on them. I get them every day now.
Bobby gets a black and white Verizon iced latte.
See, she knows what all of us get, and we're all addicted.
The other fireman, he was asleep. He was just sitting
Oh.
there asleep. He said
Yeah.
he was so worn out.
Yeah. So I think there's two things you should take away from this. One is 2 words: plan ahead. Plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead. Plan ahead for your animals. If you are not in the immediate evacuation area and you're in that next tier maybe, or you think you might be, go ahead and start planning ahead. The second thing, and we're going to wrap it up here, is to donate. There's so many different ways you can help and donate. It doesn't necessarily have to be your time. It can be with supplies. It can be through PayPal. It can be through the websites. It can be through Rutherford Pet Supply. You can drop off things. We're gonna go ahead and take whatever you've got. We'll take it here at Lake Lure Coffee, downtown Lake Lure. We'll take it next door at Mr. Lake Lure Real Estate. So those items that they need, pet food, towels, blankets, litter, cat boxes, anything like that you need, we'll take it here. We'll get it to these guys.
2 things. Your wife said she is closed. She's come across. She said she is closed.
Okay.
So that must have something to do with people coming in and out.
Okay.
And Stacy Beam just said just closed Apple Valley Pro Shop and restaurants.
Okay. All right. And one thing that I'll give a shout out to my wife, and I'll give a shout out to that whole strip down there. My wife's salon, Jonathan Hinkle at Marathon Builders, I believe Charlene Eford at Keller Williams Professionals, Tommy Hartzog with the Chamber of Commerce, the massage person,
Steve Clark.
Chrissy Smith.
Steve Clark with he runs a mortgage company down there. Christy Smith, massage person. All those businesses along that strip there, right before you get to Chimney Rock, they have firemen sleeping in their place of business at night in cots. These business owners have been trusting, and they have said they've opened their doors, they've let them line them with cots so that firefighters can sleep and get out of the cold. They're coming in and out and using their restrooms. My wife has 2 showers in her place because it's kind of a spa, so they do that there. They've had firemen coming in and out, doing, taking showers, using the restrooms, sleeping there. So a big shout out to all those businesses along that strip that are literally, and we're talking about, when I say open their doors, I mean they're literally just leaving it unlocked at night and saying, it's yours, just use it. So it's just, I mean, the whole community has just been amazing. Share if you would, at the bottom left, hit that share button. We thank you. We thank Rachel for everything you've done and getting the word out, and she'll continue to get that word out. Go to the Humane Society page and like it, right? Like that page, because that way you get their stuff as they pump it out there. It'll hit your timeline. So go there and show them some love, like their page. And that's all I've got. And thank you to Lake Lore Coffee for letting us do this here and interrupt them and talk real loud and interrupt their day. But they've just been such a great support to the community from day one. So we appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining us.